Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome this morning. We've got a really special highlight today on product. Uh, Michelle McKay does a great job every Monday night. You can go to her YouTube channel and see the replays, but she has a 30-minute call called Why Do We Need These Drops? And I was the guest last night, and we discussed not only the physical, visual things of weight loss, but way more important is the stabilization of your blood sugar. Everybody should get blood work done that's above 30 years old pretty regularly, every 6 months. The resting glucose is a great indicator of things to come in your life. If that resting glucose is elevated above 100 for a significant amount of time, it does not have to get to pre-diabetic levels for you to already have a lot of risk factors showing up in your body. Generally, elevated blood sugar over a period of time. They call it metabolic dysfunction, metabolic syndrome, insulin insensitivity. It all means the same thing. It means that your insulin is not dealing with it effectively anymore. You're developing the inability to burn fat for energy. And when you have elevated blood sugar, a lot of risk factors start showing up. You'll see trends of elevated triglycerides, generally speaking. If it stays that way for a while, blood pressure is a direct correlation there. It'll start going up over time. If it stays there, bad cholesterol generally rises. As a matter of fact, our top doctor, Dr. Ray Strand, says if you have either two of those three things that I just mentioned, high triglycerides, high bad cholesterol, or high blood pressure, two of those three things are a 100% correlation that you have metabolic dysfunction going on. And what's the cause of that is not just sugar. It's not just, it can be fruit juices, liquid sugar, sugar itself. We can kind of identify that, but there's a secondary culprit out there, and that's a simple carb converts to the same glucose in the blood as the sugar does. So we have to pay really close attention. Our approved food list, as I talked about last night, is the low glycemic food index. A type 2 diabetic doctor wrote that years ago. If you really want to understand our approved food list, go either AI or Google low glycemic food index and eat from the green list. They usually highlight the green foods as the safe foods, yellow, danger, red, stay away from at all costs. So our special guest this morning, John Morris, when I first met him, he shared a couple of facts with me that validated what I had been saying to people for years, and that is the food industry has zero regulation on the front of their boxes. They can write every marketing word that every mom is looking for: low fat, healthy, good for you, heart healthy, all the different things that makes us want to buy, non-GMO, you name the things they'll put on the front of that box. Because they're not regulated there, it doesn't even really have to be that truthful. What has to be truthful that is regulated is the back of the box, when you actually have to learn how to read the label and count up carbs and simple sugars and compared to fiber in there. So John Morris spent a 40-year career at Nabisco. A lot of their products, their Triscuits, their wheat thins, are sold to us as health products. And you just put a big red danger sign on it if you're trying to pay attention to your weight and your sugar. So, John, you had mentioned at one point, I believe they ship 11 million pounds of sugar into Nabisco daily by train. Is that an accurate statement?
That's true, Todd. Yes, millions of pounds of sugar per day come through. Just unbelievable that the amount of sugar that's used in the production of the products there.
And tell us some of those products. What all were y'all making there at Nabisco that we're buying out here?
So it's the big is the Oreo and the Chips Ahoy, and of course like Ritz crackers and all this, those particular the vanilla wafers and all those particular brands, flavors.
Besides the sugar, if you really get to digging on this, a lot of the rich crackers and things like that, they also have the cetyls in them that damage our cell membranes. That's a big X factor when you start studying how to protect your health. But let's go back there. When you first went to work there, you started noticing something. Will you share what you started noticing as you began to work at Nabisco?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, when my first day when I got to work there, when I started working there, and I saw these guys with these, and I thought they were pagers, you know. And I looked around, and so I finally asked them. I said, "What is that?" He said it's an insulin pump. I never seen an insulin pump, up close like that. And I looked, and a lot of them were wearing insulin pumps, and I'm like, it just blew me away, Todd.
What do you think the percentage was? Like 20% of the people were wearing it? What do you think the percentage was?
I'd say probably in the range of, I'd say 15 to 20% in that range right there. And if they weren't wearing the pump, then of course they were, a lot of them were diabetic, and so it was a constant emergencies. And I had one lady that I had, when she left the job, I had, she was so out of it because of her sugar imbalance. I followed her home, and I had to stop traffic and get in and pull her out of the car, and because she could not even make it home. Her sugar levels had gotten that far out of whack. And I just, it's just unbelievable, like I said, what that sugar imbalance does to the body. It's devastating.
And you guys were given, I think you said free food in the break room and discounted food you could take
Yes,
home.
that's correct. All you can eat, so you can. It's not uncommon to see somebody come by and just grab a box of cookies and just go in the break room and just eat a box of cookies. Because if you work on a 16-hour shift and you're hungry and you're forced over, you want to eat something or to get a little energy surge. And so I saw a lot of that, and so there again, but the consequences of that, all of that much sugar in your body. But also, Todd, we actually breathing a lot of it. A lot of it's just in the air. When you got all that sugar just floating around in the air, getting in your skin, it's just astronomical.
John, anything else that you think is important people should know?
Yeah, Todd, when you were on point, like you said, be sure to get to the doctor, check your sugar levels, and there again, I know, within moderation, try to avoid those sugars as much as you can, and I'm telling you, you'll thank yourself at the end of the day.
Yeah, so I get text all the time with people sending me bags or boxes. Is it okay to eat? And periodically
Yeah.
there may be, but if you'll look at our approved food list, there is it's for lack of better words, it's real food. It's not man-made food. It's real food that grow in the ground, or animals that eat the food that grow in the ground, or nuts that grow on the trees, or fruits that grow on the trees, or bushes. So like stay away from the aisles at the grocery store. You don't have to read labels if you don't buy anything in a box or a bag. Just buy the real food, and you'll be really safe when you do that. And you kind of visualize, a lot of people don't understand that the food industry pays people $500,000 a year, these food chemists, to make us addicted to food. So, just think to yourself, how many of you bought a bag of chips with the intention of eating a few, and 30 minutes later, you've eaten the whole bag? But if you think about going and buying a bag of apples, nobody's going to come home and eat the whole bag of apples because you got fiber, it's real food, it's filling, it's nutritious. So, real food. And you stay away from those bags, boxes, and liquid sugars and artificial flavors. As a matter of fact, one of the doctors I follow had a notification come up this morning, and it simply said, um, if you just drink one of these a day, you have 140% higher chance of one day having a stroke or Parkinson's or dementia. And it went on and on and on. I didn't think it was ever going to get to the point. And guess what that one a day was? Diet soda of any kind. The artificial sweeteners, the neurotoxins, the way they sweeten that is actually worse for you than the sugar. The things you can drink are unsweet tea, unsweet green tea, and water. And you can put some elite in that water and make it taste good and have a lot of herbs and stuff in there. It's ways to get around it. And there you can get good electrolytes from Amazon, and put a good electrolyte in there that doesn't have any sugar in there, and get your body hydrated. So thank you, John. That was a little bit of weight loss nutrition tips of the day, and we'll get back to our IPA call.
Thanks, Todd.